I want 1,000 million subscribers. I want to, build an academy worldwide. I want to be able to travel the world. And like, that's the destination. But when you get to that destination, you're like, I want this and I want that and I want that. So once you come to the realization that there's always a destination, you start discovering that, I'm living in the process right now. I have to enjoy this.
Well, it's time for a change now.
No hesitation. Tune in, yo. Ace's motivation. It's all about your will. When your enemy is weak, go for the kill.
All right, we are back with the ShotCast, Reunited. Reunited, and it feels so good. It's been a while, man. Hot coffee, cold coffee.
Yeah, man, I can't do the cold. I mean, I could do it, but I feel like coffee was meant to be hot. It's just on this earth.
Hot showers, cold showers.
I got you.
We're back, man, after a hot minute, I believe. It's been since the beginning of COVID. I know we did a virtual
probably longer than a minute
ShotCast, and before that, so a year and a half, man, time flies, especially right now.
Man, it's good to be back here, though. I've obviously seen your face since the last time we did a podcast, but it's cool to be in this environment with this setup. It is good to be back in front of the audience, for sure.
New location, a lot of changes. A lot of changes.
It's been a crazy year.
No more green screen. We're in a physical background. We call it the motivational wall. Hope you appreciate it. And we'll keep adding to it as we go. But it's a spot I like to come drink my coffee in, look out the window, look at the signs, get some inspiration. And a lot's happened, man. So what's happened with you?
Well, I don't know what hasn't happened. It has been a lot. You've had a child since we last did this thing. It's crazy how things like that. We both moved.
Yeah.
Changed my entire career path.
Yeah, kind of changed mine.
Man.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. It's cool that a lot of the stuff that we talked about in the last sets of podcasts, a lot of that stuff is what gets you to this point, get you through challenges, helps you overcome change.
Yeah. And it's crazy. I still have people reach out to me that listen to the old ShotCast, and they still, get some good nuggets from it. And even I go back and listen to them sometimes.
No doubt.
Yeah, it's all been connecting. It's all part of the journey, and we're still going here, so we're happy to be here. For my career path, I know that I was in, sales, leadership, and back in sales and leadership, and now I'm working on a whole new academy. So one thing I've learned through these times is patience and just, getting through things with preparation, and we've been preparing a long time for some very good stuff coming. What have you been up to?
Well, hey, listen, I was in the mortgage game for almost 20 years and just decided it was time for me to step away and try to develop my own little brand. And it's probably been the most challenging thing I've ever done in almost 50 years of life.
So you were in a career path 20 years. You just said that very fast. But for me, I was in my company for 10 years, and when I had to leave that company and sell it, it was one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make. Definitely top 3. How did you make that decision after 20 years leaving a career that, pretty much built you? I mean, you pretty much grew up there, and experienced a lot. How was that challenge for you? Because I know I want to hear about that. A lot of people out there, it's hard for them to leave somewhere after 1 year. Change is hard. You left 20 yeose.
Yeah, I almost made it. I was probably 19 and a half, and they were amazing. Like you said, that time, those times in my life where there were some struggles for sure, I learned my leadership self. I made some amazing relationships that are still strong today, and I continue to look forward to have them stay strong. But I don't know. It's a good question. Didn't happen overnight, and even though you still have a passion for sales and leadership and the people, you get to this, maybe I'm an older cat, right? So you get to the second half of your life and you think about what's on deck for you and ownership and it was just time. It had run its course, and it was an amazing marriage for almost 20 years. But it was just time to go, and who knows, maybe I'll cross paths again sometime. But I think it's just good to be able to get out and take a shot. Yeah, right? Yeah. ShotCast is our thing, man. Sometimes you just have to take a shot, and it may work, it may not. But I'm glad that I did it. No regrets. Again, probably one of the tougher years of my life in many aspects, but those are the times when I firmly believe that you're growing the most. So we'll see what the next 50 years has in store for me.
That's awesome, man. And you're here right now through a tough year in your life, and we're still kicking it. We're still pushing. So that's awesome as well. How was it though, leaving and then having nothing to actually be obligated to the next? I call it the retirement life. You get a little upset. But how was the retirement life? I know you're working now again on many things.
Listen,
but
funny guy, I've never stopped working, by the way. I don't think I ever will. I remember having a conversation with my father about when you're going to retire, and I said, well, I'm never going to retire. Because I think when you're creating or when you're adding value to others, I think that's something I never want to stop doing. So it was different. I mean, I was used to structure and I'm not saying every minute of the day, but there was definitely somewhere to be and something to do at all times for a good 10, 12 hours for 20 years.
Yeah.
And then it's on you. You've got to make up your own schedule. And so, of course, in the beginning, I was super tight, dialed in, and then things pop up. You go through some challenges here and there. Maybe you sleep a little longer some days than others, and then you're up late, and all of a sudden then the schedule's off. So, but the self-employed world is a different world, especially from where we came from. There's people don't move as fast as what we're used to, or decisions aren't made as quickly, and so we're used to fast pace for 20 plus years, and that was probably the biggest difference. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to hop into the next partnership or whatever it is, and people are a little bit slower. So that was a challenge. Yeah. But hey, listen, it's gone, even in a year and a half, it's gone in 17 different ways. I've tried to put scripts together for shows, like for I don't know why I can't think of it. What's the first pilot of a TV show, to working with musical artists, to doing some public speaking, which is why I set out to do in the first place. So got a little involved in technology and learning some of those things that I was ancient dinosaur to.
A lot of technology.
So I've been exposed with a lot and connected with some people, reconnected with some people, and so even though I'm still challenged right now, but that's okay. That's where you learn the most, like I said.
So you come from, one of the probably largest financial institutions out there, right? And one of the best, and they're fast-paced. And you're saying now you're realizing out there that nobody's fast-paced like that, and people are behind. And I don't know about you or anybody listening, but I've been experiencing horrible service everywhere I go. Seems like since COVID happened, people can't get their ducks in a row. I understand it's hard to find people right now, which is something that we should talk about a little later. But just challenges with, do you think it's like the structure, the system? Like, because you see in these businesses behind you, like, man, if I ran that shop, sometimes I get that thought in my head, like, I would have my ducks in a row. Like somebody built a pool in the backyard, okay? It's $150,000 job. It's not a small job, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm sure they make good money off of it, the people building it. No emails, no texts, no follow-up. I don't even know what the process is. I didn't know I had to pay for a new sprinkler system, get new grass. There was no foreshadow, and the bills are on paper, and people call, and they don't know who I am. And it's like, you've been working in my backyard for 3 months. I call you, and you say, who is this? It's like lack of structure and process and system is something I've been realizing out there, is that people are still working in the ancient way, and they're not adjusting to the times. What do you think it is?
Well, I do think that the world is moving pretty fast right now. I think when technology has taken us to a place where, man, let's think about it. So in 1900, the year 1900, the life expectancy of a male was like 47 years old.
Wow.
Then you go to 2010, and it's almost 80. So you think about it, it took us 1900 to get to almost 50. And then it took us 100 years to almost double it, or come close to doubling it. Yeah. So I feel like that's what's happening right now in technology. So with technology and what it's doing to us and making us think about things in different ways. And if you aren't, then you're still doing things the old school way. It's going to be a real challenge for you. And you're going to have the whole Netflix blockbuster scenario happen probably a lot here with a lot of companies if we don't embrace some of that. And it's scary for some. I get it. But I think that's really the technology and connecting. We, as some generations past, always want a face-to-face communication, want a handshake.
Yeah.
That's the way I do business. Well, I'm sorry, this is not the way it's done anymore.
Yeah.
You're going to have to figure out a way to get in this digital world, because that's where the generations are headed,
Yeah.
living in.
And we've been doing a little bit of consulting. I know we have the ALC thing going. It's just a side, a passion project right now that we've been working at to help, inspire and impact businesses, across the nation. And, what we've noticed, at least what I've noticed, walking into a few of the shops we walked into, we've been in, different categories, car dealerships, insurance agencies, but a lot of them are still processing the old way, where everything is on the manager or the boss's head. And there's not a lot of ownership or delegation. There's not a lot of visibility. There's not a lot of live fire culture in there. And it's been a good experience because you see the value that you have, and obviously we're blessed to work for some of the best. But you see that value now that you walk out into the real world, especially you experiencing other companies and businesses and music and different kind of categories. You see that you could provide the value there.
Yeah, listen, I think the things that work in leadership or in business, they work in all, it's not just, okay, this is the way this particular business handles things. No, those traits, they work everywhere. And so I think that people know what they know, and they gravitate towards what they know and what worked in the past.
Yeah.
And so that's what you hang on to. But I think it's cool. I think part of the value I've been able to add is, I remember we did a podcast called Everything Connects, right?
Yeah.
That was your thing, man.
Yeah.
And you changed my life with that, by the way. Like, I think about that
That's
all the
awesome.
time. And so, but it's crazy. Like, so I was at a place for 20 years. I went to do my own thing, and then you get involved in other companies, and it's amazing how all that stuff still connects.
Exactly.
Everybody's got challenges, and everybody's got things to improve on. A lot of the folks we've seen are super successful, but I think there's going to be this, how do I go from good to great? It's going to be important that everybody's ready to learn, as opposed to, this is the successful way, leave me alone, I got this. I think we're all going to have to be a little more open-minded when it comes to how business will be conducted in the future.
Yeah. And that's funny you say that, Everything Connects. You even bring up that episode and it connecting here. It's been a good journey, and it's still connecting today. I mean, we're here because everything connects. If you think about the way we started, I called you to do a top 10 takeaway on a book. I was summarizing books at the time on a YouTube channel. And it's crazy how that's connected to so many tunnels. And I made a video about that last week, just talking about kind of enjoying the process, because, the journey's inside of the process. A lot of times we're so focused on that destination, like, all right, I want 1,000 million subscribers. I want to, build an academy worldwide. I want to be able to travel the world. And, like, that's the destination. But when you get to that destination, you're like, I want this, and I want that, and I want that. So once you come to the realization that there's always a destination, you start discovering that, I'm living in the process right now. I have to enjoy this. This is where the experience is. This is where the memories lie. This is where the lessons are learned. This is where the failures happen. And this is what I've been trying to do, is enjoy that process and that never-ending journey. Because like you said earlier about retirement, like I used to say when I was younger, I wish I could retire at 40. Like, that was my goal, right? Now it's like, there is no retiring. Once you study and learn successful people out there, you understand that they're constantly on their journey. And they just keep building and building. I mean, take Floyd Mayweather, for example. Like, he could never work a day in his life again and sit in his boxers all day at home. He has enough money to do that. Heck, he probably has enough money to do that for estates, of people. But he doesn't. He's building gyms worldwide, and he's still promoting fights, and they just keep building the legacy. So the retirement thing is totally out of my head. I think, retirement now means to me enjoying the process, doing what I love, and inspiring and influencing others. So I think it's directly focused onto the mission.
Yeah, I even think that's an old way of thinking, right? Like retirement.
Yeah.
Like, that was a thing. Like, you worked at a company, you got a pension, you made it. Could you make it till you're 50, and then you could go retire and golf and sit on the hammock in the backyard, and that was like the way that it was, because that's what we knew. That's what successful people did. But I think we need to, just like you said, that needs to go away because hopefully we're always creating, and especially with how you can hop on a podcast or you can get to thousands of people right away with your ideas, thoughts. That doesn't ever have to stop. You can always even earn some income if you want, if you need to. So I just think that's a great example of the old way of thinking, and it's time for us to. It doesn't have to all be technology. It's just progressing, right, and not doing it the same old way. And I agree with you. I watched your video that you sent out. Like I watch a lot of them, and I think it's super important. There has to be a destination. Everybody's got to have a place that they can see to get to. But if you never get there, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
Because you're right. The journey is where the learning happens, and the success, failures, and experiences which round us out as human beings. And so I thought it was great.
Just focusing on the current moment because everything else is coming. Just stay focused in the moment. And, through the last 5 years, my visions change constantly, through different things. But through that journey and through those visions, I've met you and I've met other folks, and more things are happening. So that's been awesome. Right now, what the biggest project I'm working on is just, the 5 things that I've found through this journey, pretty much. Everything connects. It's all connected to this point right now for me at this time, this current moment, at the end of 2021, there's 5 things of all successful people I've noticed they have in common. And that's, sales of some point. It doesn't have to be like they have a sales company or sales job, but just sales in general. Leadership, habits, big one, planning, big one, and then mindset, which should be first on that list. This is the most important. So if I had to summarize like every single successful book or every successful person I've watched, and I had to say what's 5 things that they have in common or 5 main things they do, they have great habits, they plan very well, their mindset is stainless steel, great leadership, and they're good communicators, which connects to sales.
Yeah, listen, you asked me what I've been doing, right? You bring those things up. I know that you've been working on some things. Do you want to tell us kind of how you're diving into those 5 things and how you're bringing it to life?
Yeah, so I think like one of the special things, everybody has something special that they could do. And I'm sure that if you can't realize it, somebody could tell you. You could dig deep within and, and see what that fire is that you have. And I think one thing that is unique that I've learned about myself over the past is I could teach somebody something in a very simplistic format where they could walk away with it, Like instead of like giving a presentation where somebody walks away bored, like I could teach it in a simplistic way. And I've learned that because, through this sales company, I've had a lot of salespeople come to my team that have, not done the best with 5, 6, 7, 8 leaders. Some leaders more experienced than me. And these folks were, on their last leg, per se, and it was either I'm going to succeed or like this is my last month. And some of them came to me and I was able to help them evolve and change their lives, through promotions and then through leadership. And some of them are even great leaders now in the company. And when I ask them the biggest difference, they say, I latched on to the way you taught it, For example, like, cool. The objections play, like everybody says, okay, well, this is the way you tackle an objection. You got to ARP, acknowledge, respond, pivot. Like, here's a black and white paper. Here's the responses. Let's practice something. Let's go out and do that on the phone. Instead they came into a training with me and I had the 8 Mile song playing, where he says, everybody from the 313. I just had the instrumental playing. Everybody walks into the training like, what the hell is this? This guy's playing 8 Mile. Has he lost his mind or are we going to learn anything today? And then I play B Rabbit's scene where he raps about the other guy and he says, I am white, I am a effing bum. I do live in a trailer with my mom and the whole line. He throws him the mic after. And then I relate it back to sales and I say, what if you told the client every single objection before they told you it? And then we brand it and call it the 8 Mile play. And then first we have fun and we talk about ourselves. If I was to make fun of you or you were to make fun of me, let me say everything that you're going to say about me and throw you the mic. And then we relate it back to sales. So on a sale call, if somebody's going to say they're going to shop, you tell them they're going to shop before they say they're going to shop. So I know you probably want to shop this around. Here's the reason you shouldn't. And it's like whack-a-mole because you're whacking all their objections. So at the end, it's like they have nothing left to say. Even relate to a back massage. If you get a back massage and The masseuse leaves 3 knots in your neck when you go home. It's like, it's not a good massage. But if you could get rid of every single knot in the back and have a smooth back at the end, that's when they're getting a good tip. So like that's one example of like how it's relayed in like the sales course. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking all 5 of those concepts I told you guys, and I'm trying to break them down into 5 courses, 2 hours long maybe. But at the end of the course, you walk away with the actual playbook. So there's material in there. It makes it easy for you to do. It shows you how to plan it, and most importantly, how to automate it and make it automatic. Because that's the biggest thing that people ask me, how do you do it? How do you do it? How are you great at sales? How are you great at leadership? Or like any kind of advice? Well, I automate all the things that make me great, right? So, for example, to compare it to health, if you want to be fit, what are the things that make you fit? Dieting, exercising. What else?
I think a strong mindset and mental makeup is going to be important.
Mental, okay, so you put those 3 things out there in the air, in the universe. I got to diet, I have to work out, and I have to have a strong mindset. Those 3 things to stay healthy. Then you say, how could I automate this into my life? Okay, diet. I'm going to go on Sunday. I'm going to buy my meals all 7 days. I'm going to put them in temporaries, put them in the fridge. A lot of people buy, prepackaged meals now. Or the meal prep, right? So the most successful fitness people do that.
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, I got to work out every single day. What could I do? Well, like for me, I like connecting it to money. Like I'd pay for a trainer. And I'd say, all right, I paid for the trainer already. I have to go to these 3 sessions. Or you put a gym in your garage, for example. Or you buy a Peloton and you have to pay monthly for it if it connects to money. And if you don't have the money to do that right now, then maybe you call somebody and say, hey, would you take a run with me tomorrow? Be up at 6 a.m. You connect it to them. But you make it something where you can't back out on it anymore.
Got
right?
it.
Whatever that is for you. And then you have that routine going. You have your meals for 7 days, and I have Andrew waking up at 7 a.m. to run with me, and he's more disciplined than me, so I know he's going to wake up, and I can't let him down. So now it's like I'm going to work out those the 7 days, and I'm going to eat clean those 7 days, or else I'm throwing away my prepackaged meals and I'm screwing you over.
Yeah.
So kind of connecting it to something, where there's some more accountability on you that you have to do it. And like that would be an example for exercising. But we walk you through that through the courses, how to make things automatic in your life.
Got it.
So that way, they're routines. And those are the 5 courses that I've been working on. I'm working on it very slowly and patiently because if anybody's known my content in the past, I've always been the type to just go and drop, Gary Vee style, And now I'm trying to perfect this. It's a big project, and it's not like something that's going to be for 1 week and go away. This is going to be revamped throughout life because leadership changes and sales changes, habits, mindset. Whatever the times bring, I'm going to bring it with it.
It's good, man. It's good to be working with you again, even outside of this.
Yeah.
Because I know we've spent some time on the leadership portion of it. And I agree with you. Listen, everybody wants to have an idea, and then they want to put it into motion, and then they want to blow up next month. But it's a year and a half. We've been talking about some of these things, and you've been talking about your courses and whatnot. But man, I can't wait for the world to see it because I know how hard you worked at it. I know some of the back and forth that we've had and some of the cool things that we're discovering when we get in a room together and whiteboard things out. I would strongly suggest that, by the way. I know that in this world of Zooms and all of that, we got to do what we got to do. We got to stay safe, and I get it. But, man, there's nothing like getting in a room with somebody and getting up on a whiteboard and just, man, it doesn't matter what it is. You don't have to be a superstar in business or anything. Just the creative side of life allows you to not stay in a rut and I know we talked about that before. So I think it's cool. It's cool to see what you've created and I can't wait for the world to see it. And hopefully the leadership world gets a chance to get their hands on it. It really helps, I don't know, future leaders and world leaders. Maybe they get the president to watch it. Yeah,
I mean, I think leadership is it's aligned. And that's also what you find through the journey, All sales is aligned. All communication is pretty much, if you have a strong foundation, you could go to any company and be a good communicator and a good salesperson. If you're a good leader in your family, a good leader with your friends, a good leader at a gas station, then you could probably go anywhere and be a good leader. There's different levels to it, of course, but the foundation is the same, and I think that's what I've learned. Mindset, that's the biggest example. If you have a strong mindset, even just making your bed in the morning, keeping your house clean, that mindset follows you everywhere you go. So it just teaches you how to perfect these things and try to make them automatic to take the thinking out of it. Because I think a lot of times, if you ask me, like, what do you think the biggest struggle is with people not finding their peak success? It's they have so many things on their mind that they want to do or that they have to do. And then instead of really plotting it out and doing it the right way, they just try to get as many things done as possible. And then things get thrown their way and they get thrown off and they don't get to that full pizza, right? They might get 3-4 slices a day, and those 3-4 slices are not perfected.
And they do 100 things 85% of the way instead of doing 1 or 2 things all the way.
Yeah, so we talk about that. How could you automate the most important things? Like in the leadership course, me and you went back and forth on that. You know, if you had to pick 3 things to automate and make perfect, what are those most important 3 things for you? Okay, there are these 3 things. Now, if you had to plan them for the week, how would you plan them in advance? If there was $1 million briefcase for you to plan your meetings perfect for the week, how would you plan those meetings? If you don't know, here's some tools that you have. Here's some mentors that you could reach out to. Here's how we do it. Here's a 1-pager with the format of it.
It's good.
And we try to dumb it down so it's easy for everybody. I
know you talk about outings in there. You're talking about pattern interrupts. A lot of cool stuff that if you're a leader or want to be a leader, or maybe your team is just, I don't know, stalled out a little bit, got the COVID blues or what have you need to spice things up. There's a lot of cool stuff in there that I think will create some value with them.
100%. Any leader, I mean, first of all, if you're a leader out there, you should always be open to improvement and development. They said if always be Mufasa and always be Simba. That was one thing I said last week. Always be Mufasa, always be Simba. Simba's always willing to learn. Mufasa was the king of the jungle. But if you stop at Mufasa and say, okay, I'm the king or the queen of the jungle, then you stop growing, and there's death right there as far as your growth is concerned. So,
sure. You're the smartest person in the room, you're in trouble.
Exactly. So always be open to it, and I think you'll get great value from it. But not only for that, for anything out there that you see and hear, like I'm always open to anything, Seminars, you learn from everybody. You learn from my baby son, and I'll learn from my mother,
Sure.
Different lessons in life. But yeah, this leadership thing, which is we're launching next week probably. The sales one is already launched. We're gonna, add on some things there as well. But this leadership one I've actually got with Lang, and we're going back and forth till this thing is perfect for you guys. And it's really gonna go through a lot. The traits of a great team, the traits you're missing, how to add them. The traits of a great leader, traits you're missing, how to add them. The pattern interrupts, the huddles, the meetings, the visibility, the contests, different kind of contests, different kind of ownership, how to do them. And most importantly, how to make it easy, because we're throwing a lot at you, right? But you don't want to walk away from the course and say, all right, there's 30 great things I could do. How do I do them all? No, we're going to give you the formula of how to make them easy and how to make them routine in your life.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Like if you could say, hey, I've got this playbook, just like you might look at a quarterback that's got the plays on their arm or whatever. Yeah. You're going to find yourself in situations where you don't know what to do, or you're going to want to punch somebody or punch the wall, you don't have. So it'd be cool if you had something right here that you're like, all right, let me just take a breath.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good idea. Let me do that. One of the coolest things I think we work on is the ownership and empowerment delegation part of it.
Yeah.
To me, that's important because that's a chance to build. And if you are taking what you know and passing it on to somebody else so that they have a chance, not only is that, man, you're believing in that person, and they get a chance to get some confidence off of that and maybe hit a height that they didn't think they could hit, but now your company's growing. Because if the people that report to you become stronger, that's going to push you to become stronger. And then there's another level created, and there'll be people that follow them, and they can do the same thing. And before you know it, you have a company of 10 or 20 or 100 or 200 people that have a direction, have a vision. So there's a lot of cool stuff that's going to be out there, but that was one of the cool ones for me.
That's a great test for a leader too. I mean, a great boss replaces himself as they build replacements for themselves. So a good question to ask a leader is, how many leaders have you built? How many people are ready to take your spot tomorrow? And if you look around, you're like, oh, not many. You probably got the majority of the load on your head, and you're probably still working a little old-fashioned. So this course is to really help you with giving yourself more flexibility to focus on the important things building people on the other things in your company that are important as well. And there's 3 different ways that we talk about building them, right? We talk about finding somebody that has the biggest strength in something, right? If I have somebody that's an effort monster, meaning they lead an effort every single day, and I want them to lead with their strength, I'm going to say, you're doing great at effort. Here's what I want you to do. You're going to own the stats for effort this week, right? Could you send them out for me every morning? Here's how you pull them up. Here's how you're going to get them. Send it out every morning. And also, I want you to give just 1 tip every single day, you know? So they're giving a tip on effort. Hopefully they're going to lead the way because they're doing it now, so they're going to hold more pride in it, and they're already leading it. Then I say, maybe you call somebody that's on the bottom also, and you give them a tip, and you figure out what's going on with them. And then call somebody in the middle and figure out how to pick them up a little. So now that person right there that's great at effort is now teaching the team why they're great at effort and helping out the bottom, raising them up. Well, I'm not worried about that anymore because they're handling it for me while I could focus on other important things. And that's one way. Another way we talk about is leading from the bottom. You're finding somebody opportunity ownership, right? You find somebody that's not doing great at something, right? So let's say somebody's lacking conversion, meaning their conversion for a client is very low compared to their other salespeople on their team. So you say, okay, I want you to own conversion this week. I know you've been struggling with it. I want you to reach out to the best person every single day, get a tip from them, and then send that tip out to the team, and also send out the stats every single day. So subconsciously, that person's going to sleep every night, say, man, I'm sending out the conversion tomorrow. I'm going to be bottom on that list, you know, like, so they're going to like just start trying to get up on there because they're more focused on it and they're looking at it. And the third one is just, you know, leadership ownership. You know, if somebody wants to lead and be a leader in your organization, or you want to build them up to be a leader, then you give them a task to have them prove themselves that they could be a leader. You teach them responsibility and you mentor them as they go. So that's just one of the things we talk about. Sure. But then the gold in it is we show how to automate that. Okay, so now we have that. So how do we put it into a plan? How do we make it automatic, right? Are we going to email it 3 times a week? Are we going to put a checklist and a reminder with them? Like, so we give you different tools and weapons to actually hold accountability on it, make it easy to do, plan it the right way, and then it all connects.
Yeah, listen, and just, you know, it doesn't have to be a sales environment, right? I mean, from an ownership or like Alex was talking about, like, hey, if you got somebody showing up late to the Pac Sun place in the mall, I don't know, are still malls available, by the way?
Yeah, I don't know.
So if you have an employee that's constantly late, then that might be something that you want to give them some ownership in. Yeah. To take a look at attendance for the rest of everybody else and maybe say something in a huddle or a meeting. So now, man, the last thing they want to be is late if they're going to be the ones talking about it. So it doesn't have to be a sales-driven environment. You can use some of these lessons and ideas in any type of environment. I think that's the beauty of it.
So let's go back to everything connects. Like, I'm just thinking crazy ideas right now. Like, for your kids, if your kid don't make the bed every single morning and you have 3 kids, be like, yeah, I want
that's
you to be in charge.
Making all the beds.
Well, no, I want you to be in charge to make sure that, not even them, I'd say, make sure your sister and brother do the bed every morning. And then make sure yours is done last. And as long as all 3 are done, I'm giving you $5 to add to your piggy bank or whatever it is. Now that kid's going to wake up and I got $5 waiting for me, or I got, you know, dessert waiting for me, or I got, you know, going on a trip with dad waiting for me. And I guarantee you that kid will get better at making their bed because of that. But what do parents usually do? Maybe they go with a yelling route, or they just do it for them. And we're not really teaching. So that ownership thing could go anywhere in life. Not only that, even sports. You say somebody that's bad at steals, for example, on a basketball team. And you say, you know what? I'm going to give you the stats for steals every single day. And I want you to see who's doing the best, who's doing the worst. And I want you to talk to the team about it every single day. That person subconsciously in the game is going to be like, I got to steal. Yeah. You know, so I think it works for everything. And that's the beauty of the courses, you know, and you take them to different parts of your life and it works out in all aspects.
Yeah, man, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to push the go button at some point soon and let the world see it and us to learn from it. There's so much more to do and accomplish. And tackling these was a pretty cool experience, and I look forward to doing some more stuff with you.
It was, and there's going to be a lot more coming, man. I mean, the mindset one is next, and the habits and the planning, and we'll show how they all connect. Because if you told me, like, if you want to build a successful organization, and you tell me what are the 5 traits you want somebody to have, I mean, that's it right there. So the academy, when it's all built, the main thing of it is, like, you want to put all your team members or employees or athletes in it through any organization out there, because these are the 5 fundamentals that make a great human. You think about the Chicago Bulls and why they were great. You read about Phil Jackson, like the book down there with Phil Jackson about the meditation they did, the team retreats they did, the things they did other than just the practicing are some of the things that made them great, you know?
Yeah.
And that's where you learn. So it's not only about the actual thing. It's not only about getting in the sales room and going over. It's about everything else. And when you figure out that connects, you're building a great human. And that's what this is about. Because success, you know, money and number follows. They follow your success. You're not looking for a job's looking for you, you know?
I like the way you say that. So yeah, it's exciting. I can't wait to see kind of numbers it does, and it's good to be back on here. You want to shoot it up here right quick or what?
I mean, yeah, the tradition is, if you've watched the previous ShotCast, that at the end we're supposed to give you a shot of adrenaline, shot of inspiration, and we'll let my man Lang kick us off here.
All right, so it's cool, man. It's cool to have traditions, by the way. So I love it that we have a shot at the end of this, and hopefully these shots help you guys and as you walk your journey. So in this, I talked about technology a little bit. One of the things that I've been digging into is the NFT world. I can't say I quite understand everything about it. It's pretty crazy that people pay $5 million for
We'll get an NFT on this,
a
by
dancing
the way.
bear. We're going to do one. For sure, that's going to be my first NFT.
It's the first product of the show.
But it's if you don't know what the NFT thing's all about, it's really about authentication, being one of one, having something that's very rare. And so it's interesting to me that I was telling you guys that it has been a challenging year, right? There's been some times I'm looking in the mirror, not recognizing this cat that I'm staring at. And so as you walk those, it's cool to talk about it and say, hey, you got to go through the tough times to get to the, okay, that's cool to say, but like when you're going through the challenging times, it's not as easy as just saying it and then it's like it's over. So I bring that up because the NFT space, I think, is going to be a pretty cool thing, by the way. You should do some digging into it if you haven't. It doesn't take you long to watch some videos to get up to speed. But the authentic part is what really, why I believe that NFTs are going to work, even though a lot of people don't think that there's some value there. There is. There's something about being authentic. And as I look back in some of the times of my journey, even this past year and a half, I feel like if as long as you are authentic, right, in this world of Instagram, everybody's happy, all that stuff, I realize that we need to make sure that everybody sees us in our good moments. But I think at the end of the day, the most important thing for me is to be authentic. And so whether you're on top of the world or you're going through a challenge, the right people will surround you during those times because you've been authentic throughout your days and different challenges that other people have had. And so it's been a cool experience, I guess. How do you say a challenging experience is a cool experience, but that is how you get through it. And so there's been some amazing folks and that have really stepped up to challenge me and support me. And I think part of the reason that is because I've been authentic with them throughout my time. And so I don't know if there's a message in this, maybe it's just therapeutic for me, but man, there's a lot of things that we try to do and spend our time achieving, and how we look is important to us. I would just challenge you, man, at the end of the day, be authentic and everything will work itself out, the good and the bad and the success and the failure. Just be authentic and people will gravitate towards you and they'll know the real you. They'll know when to step in. They'll know when to cheer you on, champion you. So it's my shot after a year and a half.
Stay true to yourself.
Yeah, man.
And I would even say, I don't know if you would agree with this, but I'd say that you'd probably have the most growth and the most challenge in your life in this last year than maybe in the last 5 years or 10 years. I don't know if that's a true statement.
Maybe 50.
Maybe 50. So this is where all the growth is happening for you.
It's cool though.
You know, at this point in your
Painful
life,
as it is, it's cool.
it's very good that you're finally breaking through. A lot of folks don't ever break through to that growth because they stay in their comfort zone, you know, and that's important as well. So my shot after, you know, a year and a half, big fella, is I was talking to my brother-in-law about this from Project 369, and he had a friend that is very successful. He owns a clothing line company. He was talking about his experience with hallucinogen. Okay, and he was saying that he found his breakthrough through the hallucinogen, where I said, what did it do for you exactly? You know, like, how did it help you break through? And he said, I was completely detached from my ego. And I think once I dug deeper with him, and he said, you know, a lot of times we find ourselves getting stuck into the routine, or like for me, I get stuck in my ways, and I think the way I'm doing things is right, because I don't want to break the routine and break the habits and make things more difficult on myself. Great example is like when we were going back and forth with the courses. You said, let's do this, let's do that. You said, let's just re-record them, man. Like, let's stop trying to perfect everything. And if there's something we could do better, let's pull out the camera, let's put on the outfit again, let's re-record them. Let's keep going. And I think for me, detaching from my ego and saying like, he's right, it's not on me, it's what other people think, detaching from your ego and doing the things that are necessary, even if they're more difficult, to get them right. So my shot for you, I guess, would be detach from your ego in whatever situation you're in and learn what's really going on. A lot of times we're blinded. Like, you see people that are in relationships, for example, and they're stuck in a bad relationship for so long because they're blinded from their ego. That's all they want is this, even though other people are telling them, don't do it, it's not right. Like, you're getting hurt, like it's not going the right direction. They get stuck in that way because they don't want to break from that. And they don't want to break through routine and get to know somebody else. They'd rather stay in that comfort zone. You know, and it relates to everything you're doing in your life. But for me, I'm relating it strictly to my business right now. I'm detaching from my ego, right? If somebody tells me that they have something they say or some feedback, I want to hear it. And, you know, I want to test it with different kind of groups of people and different people out there. And before I didn't, you know, I'd say I want it, but I really wouldn't break through it, you know, and do it completely. So
I've heard this described as a strong ego versus a big ego.
yeah,
It's important.
yeah. So have a strong ego instead of a big ego. Yeah. And a strong ego is being willing to make changes and sacrifice and build and break and listen. So whatever you're doing out there, I'd say detach from your ego and try to find somebody completely looking from the outside in to give you that raw feedback of what's going on.
Tough sometimes.
Yeah, and collect as much of that as possible, because that's where the real growth is going to happen. You see Andrew Lang, I mean, 20 years in the game. He broke out from his routine after 20 years freelancing, and this is where the most growth is happening for him. So regardless of what happens in your future, just remember, this is where the growth happened for you, and this is going to make changes in your life, you know, that are going to dominate forever. So thank you guys for listening. Cheers to your whatever you got left there, your hot coffee, brother. And we'll be back. We're back here, reunited, and it feels so good.